Let's see if the sound is working. Okay, let's see if it's
hear
working. It looks okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA and the NMOA, National Mail Order Association. And today we want to talk about junk mail. And I'll explain why. I've got a couple of things. First, a commercial on how to get more junk mail. Here we go.
Do you love junk mail like I love junk mail? Well, at We Love Junk Mail, we can put you on more junk mail mailing lists than you ever imagined. A 10-mile square radius will have to be dedicated and newly plant trees just in your name. A whole square acre just in the first year. You can't get free junk mail just anywhere, and this is not combined with any other offer. I know what you're thinking. It's too good to be true. All this free junk mail at no charge to you. Just call 555-JUNK. That's 555-JUNK.
Okay, free junk mail. This offer cannot be combined with any other. Free junk mail. And I saw, and looking up this stuff, I saw lots of, unlimited fuel supply, burn your junk mail and other things kind of like that. It was a lot of fun. I was a proponent of the term junk mail. I guess I still am. There's very few things in life you can throw away. I save like old rubber bands and paper clips, and I have a special cabinet for different size screws and bolts. It comes in really handy. It was one of those mail order things that I bought that came with 4,000 items, but they're mostly just lock washers that are like buy 100 for 10 cents or something. But the limited use of the bolts and screws was made up for by all the little drawers in all the little sizes labeled. And I have used it ever since whenever, most people would just throw out a VCR, but not me. I take it apart and save all the screws. Not so much anymore. Most of my VCRs are gone now. And a lot of things don't have screws anymore. They just glue them together somehow. So unlike those things that I save, junk mail, I can feel empowered. I can feel stronger by going right into the mail. Now, I do look at them. Like yesterday, I got something. I got a Val pack that I didn't open, and I got something about hiring people, which I'm not doing because I've had enough employees. Anyway, so let's talk about other topics. And feel free to chime in about junk mail. I would love to hear more about what you have to say. Let's turn this off and see what my PDF. Oops, where did my PDFs go? There they are. Okay, so according to SQL Response, August 29th, 2023, their direct mail benchmark report reveals that 89% of marketers have increased or maintained direct mail investments in the last year, which I thought was really good. So in spite of all this, why do we call it junk mail? Why is it so maligned? You can get more details on that ad report. Before that, I wanted to mention, I've been holding on to this for a couple of days. It's from August 8th. This is 5 ways to prepare for the ASA's new greenwashing restrictions. And the ASA is the Advertising Standards Association, which is a sort of a watchdog group in the UK that doesn't let you run skimpy ads or other misleading ads, and they are on the watch for greenwashing, which is talking about your climate change mitigation initiatives. There's a phrase for you. Your climate change mitigation initiatives, which we've talked about a lot on this show. And so I just wanted to show that not everybody thinks mail is the only place that has junk coming out, But there's a special organization in the UK that has legal authority to fine you for saying misleading stuff on your regular TV ads or digital ads. And what they recommend to prepare for this is having a team and taking e-learning and having experts. Lots of experts are mentioned in this article. The restrictions basically require that every statement must be truthful. Now, I don't know, where would you get that idea in advertising? Heaven forbid. What would we do? We have no possible way to be truthful in advertising. They need to be accredited by third parties and with methodology and data reviewed every 5 years. And of course, if you've been riding along with me for any length of time, you know that almost everything that is actually portrayed in the whole climate hysteria is misleading and false. So they're going to have their hands full. But the way you get around it is using trusted partners. If you all tell the same lie, it's probably okay, right? But 69% of people are unsure of climate action, which is probably healthy. They're called the persuadables. Okay, and I hope they watch this show. I did put a link to Judith Curry's, one of her recent interviews, and I'll put it in there again so that you can get some counterpoint. She's one of the most credentialed climate scientists and has actually a real business forecasting weather for big insurance companies and such, where they really have to be right because it's going to hit their pocketbook if they're not. They can't just pontificate and make more restrictions about this stuff. Okay, so we're supposed to be moving beyond vague terms like net zero and leafy green visual cliches. Anyway, so obviously this could have a chilling effect, which is, of course, the point of climate mitigation. We want to chill everything. But the topic is increasingly salient, and I hope more and more nuanced, my hope. So you shouldn't be scared off. Feel free to make claims as long as they're substantiated by qualified third parties. So back to junk mail. Why is direct mail junk? Question mark. That's okay. And a couple of days ago, and it's going to be tricky for me to get this. Mike Chiricuzio. That sounds good. Mike Chiricuzio, I bet that's pretty close, wrote and asked in the comments, which we can see. If you write a comment, I don't see any right now, but if you do, now we got to, bicycles. That's one of the hardest ones. I got to verify bicycles. Okay, and now I don't know if you have to get it right or not. Never tried doing math live. Yeah, that was yesterday. That was Mike's chiming in yesterday. I got it a little wrong, and he got it a little more wrong, I think, in his reply. I didn't suggest that he check it, but anyway. With all the abilities to use the principles of psychology within direct mail and all the testing and measurement available to direct mail users, why does there appear to be so much bad direct mail, and why does it have a bad reputation? Yeah. Now, and so I decided to write a paper on it, and Mike actually reviewed it and thought it was pretty good and made lots of corrections of my bad grammar and typos. And so I'm going to put this up as a LinkedIn article because it ought to be a fun one. But one reason that there's bad direct mail is that there's a chasm between what works and what looks good. Huge chasm. Read Claude Hopkins' book on copy. Watch David Ogilvy. There's a playlist. There's actually a WDMA. I found out there's a WDMA YouTube channel that I don't use much. I should. I'll have to put more stuff up there that has a nice little playlist. I'll try to put a link in that of that in the comments. And one of the articles is by David Ogilvy, or one of the videos. that I put in there, and it's excellent. And he says, you know that long copy sells, as an example. Starbursts help. Making the response device really big helps. A lot of things that look terrible help. I worked at a general agency for a couple of years, and we won 5 out of 5 pitches while I was there, and they would parade me out and say, this guy helps us do accountable advertising. And the CEO or the CFO or the president said, oh, that's what we want. We want an agency that has accountable advertising. And then the client would come in, the ad manager, no, not the CEO anymore. That was passed off to some junior person. And they would have the launch meeting, and I wouldn't even get invited, and they had great snacks. And after the 5th one, I finally asked our creative director, why don't I get to come? And he said, well, your portfolio is super ugly. Because what I had test results. I had the mailing before, and oftentimes they were done by ad agencies. Mailing before looked beautiful, minimalist, very, very serene, versus mine, money-saving offer. Act now, limited time offer. Don't miss this. Stuff like that. Always beat control. Always beat control. We don't ever want to see your portfolio in a meeting. So anyway, I thought this was so part of the problem is the definition, right? And I better put the link to David Ogilvy's talk, and you can see the rest of the playlist in there. But he says advertising is meant to sell, which is another caution on talking too much about your sustainability efforts. If you focus on the benefits of your product, you're probably safe from ASA, because you can verify those and you're the expert. You make the stuff, right? But when you get into climate, you're wading into a murky sea of confusion, I would say. Whichever side you pick. It doesn't matter. You're not qualified to assess that. I'm not either. I admit it. If I talk enough about it, if I say those words on my YouTube channel, there will be a disclaimer that basically points you to the UN IPCC report, which is Judith was one of the co-authors in the scientific part, not in the summary, a couple of times, I think. So anyway, one of the reasons is that we test and we know what works. And what works often is not the pretty picture. It's often the scary picture. It's often the long copy and fewer pictures. And there's, again, read Claude Hopkins, go to scientificadvertising.com and you can get your copy of it. Everyone should read it, bar none. I'll put the link to that I'm going to have a lot of links down below today. Okay, so I went around NMOA and I said, do you test enough? Because I wanted to do a talk on testing. And the board or whoever was in charge of the conference said, well, all our clients test, which may be true, Louise said that. And, it probably is true. It's probably really good. I don't see whether this is streaming or not. It looks like it. I'm recording it anyway. We'll get it up there. But I'm not seeing any streaming happen. It disconnected for some reason. Let's see if it's at least moving. Yeah, it looks like it's moving. Okay. So I asked people if they tested enough, and they said no. One said, and this was from a major catalog company, they said, our CFO doesn't allow much real testing because he pointed out that one side or the other will lose. If we test, we erode the overall margin, which would not have been lost had we just mailed the winner. Right. And if you just knew the winner, you wouldn't even have to ever do any tests. That's very true. If you can predict the future, then there's zero need for testing. A pity you can't. And I've learned the most when I'm surprised by the result. And that's one of the reasons I like Craig Huey's articles, because sometimes I am surprised at what he's tested and what comes out which way. Okay, so the first step for me is I distinguish direct mail. A lot of people do direct mail. Okay, and a lot of direct mail I see doesn't even have a response device, or not one that's obviously visible. And so I call that just pure direct mail. It's advertising mail, but it can be branding without a response device or a call to action. Okay. Once it gets to that minimal level, I would call it direct response. Okay, because it's trying to generate a response. And when I went around asking the definition of direct marketing, most said generating a measurable response. Now, measurable doesn't mean you measure, and measuring doesn't mean you test. So you can do direct response without much of anything else, except you are generating something. It doesn't have to be a sale, so it can be very little, right? So it's also media independent. Lots of digital marketers generate clicks, and so that's something. But direct marketing, I define loosely, and I do have, if you look in the journals, if you go to scholar.google.com and type in direct marketing, you'll find my seminal article on the definition of direct marketing. Connie Bauer really wrote most of it, but I gave her the idea and we worked on it together. Direct marketing is an ongoing system. Important. It's not a tactic. It's really a strategy of how we're gonna learn about our advertising. How we're gonna let the marketplace tell us what's working. That's a key differentiating factor. Okay? It's a system that specifies statistically valid experimentation. And it's an ongoing process. It always includes a control versus a test, which is designed to isolate one or more key variables so we can see the incremental difference between the winner and the loser in the test. It's more to it than just, oh, let's just do an A/B and we'll see which generates the most clicks. I tend to get it to EBITDA, try and get it down there. So decades ago, I challenged the Direct Marketing Association definition, which basically said a measurable response. It didn't say test at all. The word is not mentioned. It doesn't even say that you have to measure. It just says measurable, which, you know, give them credit. A lot of the testing isn't even statistically valid. In other words, they're not testing enough of a sample to really know what's going on. Sort of like count the number of mice in the pharma tests of a recent global experiment. Direct marketing allows the market to inform the marketing, right? Find a need and fill it, the AMA says. This helps you find the need and helps you find which of your campaigns scratches the itch most effectively. Dick Schaefer begins his excellent book on page 12 saying, don't say direct mail marketing has been tried and failed because it hasn't been tried yet. He continues, nothing else so dramatically illustrates the vast difference in mindset, goals, and expertise as these Fortune 500 companies, as the absence of response measurement in terms of profit and loss and the absence of testing. Absolutely. Doesn't mean it's not effective. It could be an effective brand builder, even if it never. You know, everything I throw away, I register somehow, and I'm touching it, so I'm registering it with 10 times the neural receptors in my brain that I do from a video screen. Okay, there's a long history of the language of direct mail being appropriated by marketers who neither understand. I don't know what. We worked on this sentence too much. They need more understanding of or inclination toward their advertising being held accountable. I guess that works, right? They need to be interested in the accountability of direct marketing, but they're not. So they use the term, and they use it over and over and over. David Ogilvy and Claude Hopkins massively credit what they learned from direct mail professionals and practices. Ogilvy believed that the big agencies and direct marketers would someday unite, but the opposite has happened. Direct marketing has been diluted to meaningless by the very association that coined the definition. One of its authors told me we wanted everyone to embrace direct marketing, not just good direct marketing. You know, when I told him it should have included testing. He said, well, that's good direct marketing. And I won't mention his name, although He almost looked like he's going to punch me in the nose the first time we met because he'd read my article. Direct mail is expensive. Another reason it's all junky. How can we afford to risk that kind of money? The CFO doesn't like seeing these significant expenses, as a line item. I got fired from a big cataloger for that. But compare that with digital, right? Here's the average cost per click in Google Ads search advertising, May of 2023, okay? Online education is $9.35. Insurance, $8.41 per click. Travel, $1.34. Jewelry, $1.08. Okay, and Google, so all of these, and there's a few more, but there's like 13 of them, or whatever. There were 17, and they showed 13. But Google actually will tell you, and I confirmed this with another article that I won't show, that the bounce rates are 30 to 70%. That means someone doesn't stay 10 seconds or click one link on your website. And landing pages are worse. Bounce rate is higher. So take all those numbers and double them, and you're getting your cost per engaged viewer. Remember, only 1/10 is engaged as a piece of mail in their hand. Okay, but also note that digital ad costs keep rising at or beyond inflation rates. Have this year. And digital ad fraud, estimated by Dr. Augustine Fu, my friend, could be as much as 30%. So multiply those costs by 1.3. So we're talking about $20 plus per click in the online education industry, and in the insurance industry, almost that as well. It's 16 plus 30% times that, and you're up at $20. Okay, legal. It's all move, brother. Okay, what? But you can mail a nice catalog for $1 or less today, including the new higher postal rates. Okay. So, and since few marketers test, far fewer have yet to learn the downstream value. And I've told you this story oftentimes, that one of my catalog clients hired a bunch of digital experts, and at about 150 grand a piece, and we measured the downstream value of their customers generated by digital, and they were worth 1/4 the downstream value. Sort of like lifetime value, but we limit the time. So it's, it's not lifetime. It's just, what are they worth in the next 6 months? How much do they reorder, right? And it was 25% of the profit of a normally acquired with a catalog and a rented list customer, okay? Which also probably extended for a much, much, much longer period, okay? And with little or no accounting training, most marketing professionals are considered commodities with little or self-inflated, with little value or self-inflated children by C-suite professionals. I know that's true. That's why we won 5 out of 5 tests. Okay, so the only hope for direct mail to be valued is to conduct precise testing and to learn that sometimes the bad-looking direct mail is the most effective direct mail. Okay, without it, unaccountable digital will always win. The ad manager might want it to win. The creative directors want it to win, right? And unless your CFO and CEO participate in the testing conception, they will not see your results as more conclusive than clicks and impressions. If direct mailers do not impose proven accountability on themselves, direct mail will continue to shrink in marketing budgets, in spite of what SQL Response has to say. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed that. It'll be available, highlighted up on the WDMA.org website for subscribers only. It's free. And I will put it up on LinkedIn, and I will try to do all those quotes that I told you I would. Bye-bye.